Hi everyone, and welcome to another Make a Monday activity. So for today's activity, we're going to go snowmen bowling. So what we're going to do is make some little snowmen, and these will be our bowling pins. And then I'm going to use a variety of different things to see if I can knock all these snowmen down. So the first thing that we're going to do is make our snowmen. So to make your snowmen bowling pins, you'll need a paper towel roll. And what we're going to do is cut that down. So we're going to cut the paper towel roll in half so we get a nice little short roll like this. Then I'm going to use some white paper to colour my paper towel roll, or you could use white paint or textures, whatever you've got handy. And then we are going to need to decorate our snowman. So you can really use anything that you like for this. I'm going to use some scraps of fabric. So I've got some beautiful felt here. You can use something like old handkerchiefs, or even some old socks work really well as well. I'm also going to use some coloured paper to make my snowman's nose, a texter to do some details, and then the last things that we need are a glue stick and a pair of scissors to create those decorations for our beautiful snowman. So grab all of your materials and let's get started. Okay, so we're going to begin by making our paper towel roll white as snow. So I'm going to use just some scrap paper for this. I'm going to measure it roughly to be the size or the height of my paper towel roll, and then just roughly cut across because we can trim this up later. As I mentioned before, you can use white paint if you'd like, and then you just want to paint the outside of your paper towel roll and make sure it dries before you start decorating. So I'm just going to roll this roll across the paper until it's nice and covered. Trim that excess off. And then we'll grab our trusty glue stick, just put some glue here on the overhang so that this is nice and secure against that paper towel roll. And then we can get on to the fun part, which is decorating our snowman. All right, so this is the really fun part because you can use anything you like to decorate your snowman. My snowman is going to have a little hat, a scarf, and a couple of little buttons down the front, but you can really do anything. And this is a great activity for recycling materials, so nothing is wasted. So here we've just got some scraps of felt, and I'm going to just cut around that to begin my scarf. Use anything that you have, any old material will work really well for this activity. I want my scarf to be nice and long, so I'm just going around in a bit of an L shape on this felt. And then we can tie that onto our snowman. So there's our scarf beautifully wrapped around. Now let's give him a couple of buttons. And again, I'm just going to use this scrap piece of felt and just roughly cut a couple of buttons out of this fabric. Doesn't have to be perfect. And for some detail on the buttons, I'll grab my texter and just draw on a few little buttonholes. Now we can go ahead and stick the button on. So grab your glue. We'll just give him one nice big button. Next, I'm going to take my texter and draw a little face. So let's draw some eyes. And I'm going to do some little raisins or currants, just sort of like a little mouth for my snowman. And then for the nose, I've just cut a piece of orange paper, a little triangle, to sort of look like a carrot sticking out of his nose. So let's glue that on. If you've got some googly eyes, you could always use those as well. They could make some really cool eyes for your snowman. So he's almost complete, but let's give him a bit of a hat. So for the hat, I've just done the same thing, just taking a scrap piece of fabric, just going to wrap it around the top of the snowman, put a little bit of glue there, or you could use something like sticky tape, And then we're just kind of going to make this up as we go along. We're just going to fashion this piece of fabric into a bit of a hat for our little snowman. Now, this is where if you've got some old socks, they make really good hats because you can cut them off right at the top and then the elastic part will sit really nicely on your snowman's head. So we're just going to use our fingers to just kind of shape this into a little sort of bobble hat for our snowman. That is looking pretty cute. So it looks like he's ready to go and join his friends. So I have made 6 snowmen, but you can make as many as you like for this activity. I'm going to arrange mine in a bit of a triangle shape, and then we're going to see if we can bowl them over. Now I'm testing a couple of different items to bowl my snowmen. And to make sure it's a fair test, what I'm going to do is bowl the same length every time and see which one of these objects will knock the snowman over the best. So I'm using an old sticky tape roll. So this is a hollow circle and it's nice and light. So I wonder how well this will work. Then we've got a golf ball, which is not too much bigger than the sticky tape roll, but it's a lot heavier. And finally, we're going to try a tennis ball, which is a bit bigger than the golf ball, but it's pretty nice and light. So pick some different objects and then we're going to see which one will knock the pins down the best. What do you think? Have a little bit of a guess and let's go and test. Okay, so let's look at our results. So the sticky tape roll for me didn't knock down any of the snowmen. Because this is a bit like a wheel, once I started to roll it, you might have noticed it kind of fell on its side and then it just really didn't have any momentum going forward. The golf ball knocked down 4 of my 6 snowmen, and this was the most successful of the 3 that I tried today. The tennis ball also worked pretty well and it knocked down 3 of my snowmen, so half of the snowmen went down. But there's lots of variables that affect how successful this was. So there's things that I can try to make this more successful. I could try varying the force with which I rolled each of these balls and testing more than once to make sure it's a fair test. So just because I had the most luck with the golf ball today, maybe somebody else could try and maybe they'd find more luck with the tennis ball, or maybe somebody would have some really good skills with the sticky tape roll and getting it to roll the correct way and not flipping onto its side. So if you're testing at home, test lots of different objects and maybe test more than once to see if you can master knocking down all these snowmen. But for now, I'm going to go and find a friend and see how they go. So I'll catch you next week for another fun Maker Monday activity, and we'll see you then.